All right. The screen says you are live, and we should be live for the first time on 3. Don't wave yet.
Oh, it's not waving
I'll,
time?
I'll introduce you. Although, actually, the waving thing is good. It gets people's
I thought
attention.
it got people's attention. Like, hey,
No, that is true. Let's do a little music first.
Welcome to the Remodeler Show, hosted by Kyle Hunt.
That gets all the people. I mean, that's got a good beat, right?
Yeah, that's right. Now we're rocking.
What type of music do you listen to anyway, Paul?
You know what?
What type of music do you listen to, Paul?
What's the same music I listened to in college, man. My tastes have not evolved. So I'm still very
Which is what?
Like your Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Foo Fighters, rock and roll kind of like stuff.
Okay.
I get into little funny stuff here and there, but mostly those are my go-tos.
And the guitar that's in the background, is that a guitar that gets played often?
Not anymore. I used to play quite a bit, but these days it kind of sits there as a prop.
Why is that? Why aren't you playing more?
I just got sick of it for a while. I actually sold my guitar when I went traveling. Like, I was traveling for 4 or 5 years. I sold my guitar and then didn't play while I was traveling, and then came back and just didn't play, and just, fell out of the habit.
Okay.
Now my fingers hurt when I play. So, it's a disincentive. I got to build the calluses back up again.
There you go. So, people, this is the Remodeler Show. We already got 9 people. They're flowing in. And this is Paul McManus with McManus Kitchen and Bath. Most of the people know him from he's very active and generous on the Remodelers community board. Today, we're actually live on 3 different platforms: on the Remodelers community Facebook group, on YouTube, and also on LinkedIn. And Rhonda, we already have our first comment before we get into today's content. Rhonda says he should play for us.
Not going to happen, Rhonda. It's been too long.
Oh, come on.
I can't have the first time I picked the guitar up in months be live in front of 9 whole people. That would be...
Actually, we're already in double digits. Thank you. 10.
Okay. I can't even...
Plus 100 or so that's going to listen to the replay.
Yeah,
but okay.
Can't even do that. My ego couldn't.
Okay, fine. All right, so we won't do that. What we are going to get into, though, is we're going to dig into Paul's approach to how he walks prospects through his good, better, best system and approach and pricing and everything like that. It's kind of a unique, sharp way of going about it. And I just thought it would be a wonderful piece of content for remodelers. The whole reason we're doing this show is to make remodelers think, to give you guys ideas on new little tweaks to implement and to try out. Paul and I have talked a little bit. I think we did a webinar a year and a half or so ago that touched on this topic, but we'll dig into it a little bit deeper today. So without further ado, if you want to click share screen and pull that bad boy up, once you start walking us through it, I will interrupt, sometimes abruptly, sometimes kindly, with questions. And then as you're walking through this, if anybody watching has comments, toss them in, or questions, toss them in, and we'll answer them live.
All right. Sorry, I'm having a little computer glitch here. Let me fix it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I want to start real quick just by going over our process, just to be clear to everybody but I'll be real quick because most people probably have a similar process.
Okay. And before
screen now.
There's your screen. And I forgot to mention, before Paul gets into this, he wants everybody to know that there is only one right way to go about this process, and it's his. That's what before we click live, that's what you were saying.
Yeah, I wasn't sure that was great for public consumption, Kyle, but thank you for...
You're welcome. It's called fun and humor.
Yeah.
All right. Show us what you got.
All right. So this is just a presentation we give when clients first come into our showroom. But what I wanted to show you guys was, so this is our process, probably pretty similar to a lot of people's. We start with a visit in the home. So I go out usually and measure and talk to the client. Then we have them come into the showroom. This is where they go over their good, better, best budget with us. Then they have to approve their budget. Once they approve their budget, we do the design and bidding and all the other stuff. So that's our process, just to be clear on how we do it.
But time out, you kind of cruise to the last part. Home visit, showroom visits, given good, better, best, approve the budget. Then that's when the real work begins, right? You get into full design of their kitchen, bath. You get into detailed specifications, fixed price proposal. Just want to make sure that add a little meat to that.
Yeah, there's a design retainer due at this point as well, like most people would do. We actually charge for the home visit, which we've been doing consistently for, 6 or 8 months now. I highly recommend it.
And what are you charging for the home visit?
$125 generally, sometimes $225 if it's more complex.
Okay.
But It's not a ton. We don't get a bunch of objections, but it is a great qualifier.
Yeah. And how do you phrase it?
We say we like to start each project with a design and budget consult that consists of 2 meetings, a home visit followed by a showroom visit. We do charge a fee for the consult. It's $125. How does that sound to you? And then they say, good, and we do it. Or they say, talk to my husband. We say, okay. Call us back when you're ready. But that works great. It's a great qualifier. It puts an extra, 10 grand in the bank a year, which I use to pay out employee bonuses and stuff.
Folks, the Remodeler show was going so swimmingly well, and then Paul just disappeared. He said he was having a little computer glitch. So let's see if he's already popping back. You're back already.
Hey, sorry, I don't know how.
Sorry,
pick me off
your screen and your photo just disappeared.
Man, I thought I was just doing a good job. You kicked me.
You were. It was wonderful. Let's regroup and continue where we left off.
It might be because I'm on a little Chromebook at home and trying to share 2 screens at once, but we'll see.
Okay.
So anyway, we're going to talk today about the showroom visit and our good, better, best budget. So the good, better, best budget is really 2 parts. It's a whole scope of work sheet, which is this sheet. And then it's a budget sheet, which is basically a selection sheet. It's going to take a second to pop up. There's the selection sheet. And then I'll also show you, it has a whole back end. This is the pricing. Customer doesn't get to see this, but this is all the pricing, right? Plumbing demo, $75 per device, whatever.
So hang on, just to get everybody understanding, this is a Google Sheet. These are different tabs within the Google Sheet. As you create your good, better, best option, you'd be cruising through here and say, okay, related to this item, we're anticipating 4 hours for this. That's what powers the good, better, best and the tally.
Correct. For us, it's more of it's a unit cost pricing, not per hour. We sub everything out.
Okay.
And then there's this project management tab. This is internal. This is what we charge for estimate design, project management, setup demo, setup materials, internal stuff. That's not subcontract.
So pause. The estimate and design, that $3,080. So we're figuring here's how many hours for showroom visits, final meeting, estimate work. Okay.
Yeah, so that's done by hour because that's actual designer time.
Got it.
Actual project manager time. This is all calculated based on project length, right? So we enter the project length, and then there's formulas that calculate this for us.
Got it.
You have to go in and key it. The whole idea behind the good, better, best sheet is make it quick, make it so that anybody can learn how to do it fairly quickly and do it accurately. And then here's where we control our markup right here as well, and our contingency.
Okay.
But we start with scope of work. So I go out to the house, chat with the client, take some notes, which we kind of stick up here. And then the scope of work is probably pretty recognizable to a lot of people. The first section here is general conditions, travel distance, how many stories the house has, is the slab, off grade, blah, blah, blah. Do we need a building permit, a plumbing permit? Do they want us to have a porta potty? Then this part's real important to clients. It's the time to design and plan. And this varies. So this is what helps us decide how many design hours and showroom hours are needed on the project. So we have the home visit, the good, better, best meeting, which is that first showroom visit. Then we're going to say, we believe for your project, we're going to need 4 design meetings. So we're budgeting in 4 design meetings for that client. We let them know that. We always have a final meeting to present the fixed price proposal. And then in this particular project, we're saying we think we're going to need 2 additional home visits to verify measurements and sort out details.
Okay.
So it's very important to the client, but it feeds that back end for pricing.
Okay.
And then we tell them lead time for materials and then how long we think we'll need to complete it on site. So that's section 1. So what's nice about the scope of work and doing it this way, in my opinion, is you are literally line by line demonstrating to the client what's involved in their project. A very common response we get from clients, say like a small hall bath remodel, they go, wow, that's more work than I thought it would be, which is a great thing to hear from a client when you're about to show them a $25,000 price tag for their hall bathroom remodel. So the next section is demo. So we line by line just go through demo. These are all pre-programmed on the back end. There is an editable section for, weird stuff that we have to add that's not common.
Okay.
Materials. Every section basically has a labor and a materials section. Rough carpentry, scope of work, on and on. Plumbing, labor, electric labor.
Got it.
Et cetera, et
So
cetera.
a lot of these, you're already starting with them already checked off, and a lot of you might take another kitchen one that you've already done, or do you usually start with kind of a fresh?
Oh, no, this is this is a current project, so that's why it's filled out.
Okay. Usually it'll be blank.
It starts blank, and then I go through after that initial home visit. I go through and I fill everything out.
Got it. Based
on I usually do this little rough sketch of the room we're remodeling, and that's how I get a lot of these numbers. My Christy, our showroom manager, is now starting to do this. Like, she's learning it. Brianna, our designer, is now starting to do this. So they're learning how to do it. That's
good, because it's going to leave more time for you to practice your guitar.
That's right.
And then maybe next time you'll actually play for us.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's the end.
Okay.
End game. Anyway, all the common scope of work items are on here for kitchens and bathrooms. I don't think there'll be anything too surprising. Just a little bit of exterior stuff for us, because we don't do a lot of exterior stuff. Blah, blah, blah. And you get to the end, that's the scope of work. And then we just, we've gone through it. We asked the client, it's like, well, that's your scope of work. That's all the labor involved in your project. Is there anything you feel like we missed or we need to add or subtract? And they say, no, that looks good. And then we tell them, I say this almost every time. I say, we'd like to call this the deep breath moment. We're about to look at your good, better, best budget. This is your good, better, best budget. And they immediately go, oh. I say, so if you chose everything in the good category, this would be your budget, about $110,000. If you chose everything in the best category, it'd be $180,000. This is your custom budget that is based on individual selections. And we're going to go through this sheet line by line, just like we did the scope of work. And we're going to decide which products and materials are best for you.
Got it. Hang on 1 second. Remember when I start, can you hear me fine?
I can hear you.
Okay. Remember before we clicked the live and I'm like, oh, this technology, it's been perfect so far. I've done 20 shows. For some reason, my audio just went into my computer. But I'm hearing you still. And I think if people could type in the comments, if you're hearing Paul and I fine, I'll work on fixing this. But I just want to make sure your audio is still working. So carry on. You're killing it.
Yeah, you sound good to me, man. So no worries there. And then this is designed the same way. Like, you can choose cabinetry. Like, for example, if I made this best cabinetry, it'll take a second because we're online. Come on. It'll bump to best cabinetry in a second, and that custom price will change. It's weird it's taking this long. There it goes. And then so we can show them. And then we're in the showroom. So at this point, what we do, we go through the cabinetry and kind of show them. We've pre-selected. We almost always pre-select best for everyone. Show them the highest possible price right off the bat. And then it kind of comes down as we go through the meeting. But we walk over to our cabinet wall and we tell them the difference between good, better, best cabinets, pros and cons. And then we come back here and we dial in the cabinetry. Now, cabinetry has a lot of options, obviously, because it's cabinetry. So the cabinet section is quite big. The rest of them are a bit more simple. But so we go through that. Then we go through countertops, same deal. Do you want quartz, wood, laminate? We go through plumbing fixtures, everything, electric fixtures. It's all there. And then we get to the bottom. They have their services total, which is all that subcontracted labor.
Can you still hear me, Paul?
I can.
Okay, so I know you're killing it, but you're going to carry the Remodeler show for a minute, because I haven't heard you in 2 minutes, but everybody else can hear you. I'm just dealing with some audio stuff, but you are now the person in control of the Remodeler show for maybe the next few minutes.
Okay, do what you got to do.
Keep explaining it. You're doing a lovely job. And anybody, if you have any questions, and actually I'll click on this and you can answer this question while I'm working on my audio.
Oh, Jim, how long does it take to build that estimate sheet? So yeah, a while. I mean, the initial estimate sheet was built, actually. I paid a guy $35 on Fiverr. If you're not familiar with Fiverr.com, it's you hire freelancers on Fiverr. I paid a guy $35 to build the first version. So it actually didn't take very long at all. I think it took him like 3 days. Obviously, it wasn't this robust, but then from there, it's just been slow. For a while, we were making updates every single time we used it. We'd use it, learn something, make an update, add something, take something away. And it just slowly but surely got more and more robust and became more and more useful. So, but we've probably been doing those, various iterations for 3 years, probably. So I want to guess about 3 years ago, I built that first sheet. I wish I had kept the first sheet, but I did not. I would love to be able to show it to you. That would have been awesome. The newest sheet I have is only from like a year and a half ago. But still, even since then, tons of changes. So yeah, start small and just you slowly adapt. I was very lucky that one of my designers was also a real Excel whiz. So once we brought her on board and she started using this, she was able to make some of the formulas more complicated. And she's the one who helped us add some of these sort of fun checkboxes and stuff, which is nice. You check some of these checkboxes and it auto-populates information that will go to our scope of work and builder trends. She adds a lot of these sort of fancy bells and whistles that are pretty cool. But anyway, to finish up down here at the bottom is our pricing summary. So services total, selections total, overhead and profit, which really is just profit, but we call it overhead and profit because my designer at the time wasn't comfortable calling it just profit. So it was a little concession to her. Tax, shipping, product total. And then we can actually expand this so that it shows construction labor, our estimate, design and project management fees, and then the fees and permits. So on larger projects, we will show these numbers because they're pretty useful. On small projects, we often won't. We'll often keep it collapsed and only expand it if the client has some questions, or wants to really dive into it. That's project total, and then we get a 5% design retainer, which in this case is that right there. So they know that's what they have to pay to move forward. One thing we started adding recently is what we call X Factor, which has been cool. So what we tell people when we do this good, better, best budget, historically for us, this is accurate to within 3% of actual costs. Pretty good. If they stick with the same scope of work and the same general selections. Most people don't, though, right? Most people, as everyone knows, will go beyond the initial scope of work, or we'll spend a bit more on selections.
Paul, can you hear me now?
I can.
So I can still not hear you. So I would say this is the most awkward live broadcast. So at least you can hear me, but I have tried 14 different things, and my audio, AirPods, this and that, I can't hear a word you're saying. It sounds like everybody else is. So we're going to sit for the next 11 minutes, and you're going to keep just showing pieces of this. So I don't know what you've covered so far, but a few things that I think is important. How do prospects respond to this when they see good, better, best? How has it, this transparent approach to pricing, how has it, impacted compared to, other ways of doing it? And I'll listen to your answers in the recording.
Okay. Can you sign language?
Yeah, do it. Do your thing.
So some good questions. Let me finish up here with this X Factor real quick. We found the X Factor is super useful in just giving people a range. And the way we explain the range is obviously we say, listen, it's normal for people to be conservative in the budgeting process, but be a little more liberal, if you want to call it that, in the actual design process. So we want you to expect to spend as much as $150,000. We really one of our differentiators, one of the things we really push with people is accurate pricing, right? We don't lowball allowances. We don't try and get your business, sign a contract, and then if the pricing goes up, that's your fault because you chose expensive stuff. We really focus on giving people realistic expectations. That's one of the things we do, and I think that pays off for us in the long run. But anyway, some of Kyle's questions: how do clients respond? Well, clients love it. It's, as you can imagine, it's a very detailed process. We don't try and get your business. We get comments all the time. People say, "Wow, this is nice. The price is more than I expected, but I totally understand why it is that much, and thank you. This has been wonderful. We need to think about it, and we'll call you back. And then, 35, 40% of the time they call us back, and 60% of the time they don't. But that's the business. But they really like it. It's a great differentiator because it's better than a one sheet that someone emails you or anything else. We happen to be the only contractor in our entire area that has their own showroom, so it's a big benefit to us as well. And it makes that $125 fee we charge for this 100% worth it, right? So it's adding a lot of value for that money. What was another question? I think that was probably the big one. If there's any questions, you can toss them in the chat, and I'm happy to answer them. But that's our good, better, best sheet in a nutshell. From here, once they approve their budget, all of these allowance amounts, all these good, better, best amounts get moved right over here to the actual selection sheet. And we use this selection sheet in every design meeting. So they know they have a $15,000 cabinetry allowance. We do their design, and then we're able to actually price their cabinetry. So let's say their cabinets cost $14,500, and that will automatically update their price at the bottom with the new cabinetry pricing. So they can see what they budgeted and what they're spending. So every single, this is an important part of the sheet for us too. At every design meeting, at the end of that meeting, we review their new total, right? So they can tell if their pricing is slowly creeping up, slowly creeping down, are they right on budget? And then we can go back and show them where they've gone off. Well, we budgeted $15,000 for cabinetry and you're spending $30,000 because you decided to go, you budgeted for better and you decided to go best. And they go, oh, that's okay. That's what I want. And it helps alleviate by doing it every single meeting. There's never been a problem at final contract signing, no matter what the cost is. So I think that's an important one for us too. Let me undo that so it doesn't screw up this project. So we go with the selection sheet, and all of this for us, I'll show you guys too. We just import this into Buildertrend. So here as an example, as we get bids in, so see rough carpentry at $3,800, we would put the actual bid in here, and that also updates the pricing. So we have a labor section as well. And then once this is all done and ready.
You're killing it, Paul.
Thanks, man.
So I still can't, I clicked on the live video and the audio played there, but it's on like a 10-second delay. So that just causes more trouble, but right. I'm following along. We've got some, that's such a neat and effective way to keep people on track with their budget. Rhonda's saying, great tool, Paul. Edit said, how do you charge for the design? So you get an answer to that. And Jim asked, can you launch right into a proposal from this sheet? So so for their initial budget, this is what we send them. So until they pay us any money, like a design retainer, this is what we send. We just make a copy of this as a PDF and we send it to them. We will write a little summary so they don't have to read the whole sheet. But what I was just about to go into, because we use Buildertrend to manage all our projects. So what happens is all this labor, let's see, where was it? Everything from the scope of work here gets summarized here on this export tab. So this is a condensed version. We import this right into Buildertrend, right? It's just very easy to do. It takes a couple clicks. And then all of our entire scope of work is in Buildertrend, and we use it to send out bids and yes, generate the proposal. Same with selections. There is an export selection section. It just takes all of those selections and it puts it, in a very compact, simple format, gets imported into Buildertrend. Now all of their selections are in Buildertrend. That allows us to create purchase orders and track all the ordering and everything like that. Do you ask your projects what their budget is, and if so, when? Yeah, you're seeing that question, Paul. Do you ask your prospects what their budget is, and if so, when? I'm sorry, I just am. You're handling this fine, but for some reason, I just felt like I needed to read this question to you.
No, that's good.
Good, carry on.
So budget, we don't particularly ask budget that much anymore. We used to quite a bit. Now it's a sort of it's up to the salesperson. It's up to the woman who answers the phone. We usually will only ask budget if we feel like really interested in a very low price just to, help qualify. What the worst thing about charging a fee for your initial visit is if someone's budget is so crazy low, the first thing that happens is I walk in the door and I say, yeah, this is going to cost $20,000. And they go, oh, there's no way we want to spend $5,000. You've just wasted $125 for them, right? So that's what we really want to avoid. So the only time we ask budget is when we feel like we're in danger of that happening. Otherwise, what we do is at the end of every call, we say, hey, just so you're aware, on our website, we have a list of all our past projects and how much those projects cost. We strongly encourage you to go there and check them out. That way they can go on their own. And one of the first questions I ask when I get to the home is, hey, have you checked out our website and looked at past projects? And if they have, I know they've seen pricing and I know they have a pretty solid idea of what things cost. So that's how we deal with that. So anyway, that's how we get it into builder trend. And that's it. I mean, that's the GBB sheet in the nutshell. It works. I mean, I would never do it a different way personally. As it continues to improve, I think, we'll make an app or something out of this and move it into, doing it in the home even.
Cool. So it looks like you just stopped talking. I just listened to what you said about the website. If people go to McManusKitchenandBath.com and click on, is it projects or whatever it is, just a really cool best practice on how to feature projects and put the pricing in there and the details in it. My question would be maybe share just 2 cents on how effective that has been for you. How is that as a marketing and sales tool?
Yeah, I don't think there's any better thing you can do than tell people your pricing. I think that's fantastic. I used to do it pretty way up front, like it was on the homepage. We've stepped back from that, and now it's just on our project gallery page. So we can still send people there. People can still find it, but less of I used to use that as a scare tactic. So people would not call if they, weren't comfortable with those numbers. We've backed off of that because obviously in the sales process, you can take someone from a $15,000 budget expectation to a 50 with proper education and discussion. So we've backed off in order to allow those conversations to happen. But I think it's fantastic to have the pricing because you're setting expectations. And again, this is a big deal with the GBB. What really works is they are building their own budget. You're not giving them a price, right? They are creating their own price, right? They can change this. You don't like this $130,000 cost? Fine. What would you like to remove from the scope of work? Let's take out some of the electric. Let's take out moving the walls. We'll drop the price. You don't like the price? Well, why don't we do, the good cabinetry instead of the better? It's in their hands. They build it. And that makes all the difference, right? So that's my advice. And that's kind of the same thing with the web pricing on the web is they get to see that and then they have to accept it before moving forward. After being so transparent, how do you deal with the customer who gets back to you and they want to DIY? Well, so no one could DIY plumbing on one of our jobs. We will let them do the demo in some cases. We'll let them do the painting at the end. But they can't do anything else. We just say no. It's just not possible. We don't work that way. We're happy to do the design for them and give it to them, and they can call the subs on their own. But we don't mix and match DIY and except for demo and painting. Oh, I can't hear you now.
You can hear me now, yeah?
Now I can hear you, yeah.
Okay. So Bailey was texting me. She said, it's not as awkward on this end as it feels for you, which it's very awkward for me.
I can
because
imagine,
I can't hear anything you're saying. Or if I pull it up on here, it's literally like 10-second delayed. But from what I'm gathering, from what I'm hearing, this was, even with some technical issues on my end, and for you disappearing for a second, we still delivered some really nice value here. There's some good, better, best. There's some talk of transparent pricing. There's a website for people to check out to look at how do we feature projects. If somebody's intrigued by this, or Jim even said outrageous, love it, and he's giddy with excitement, do you want people to reach out to you? I know you've even talked, and we're just going live here. You've even talked about, in the future, maybe I'll package this good, better, best up and sell it to other remodelers. We put a lot of time into it. So if you have any next steps on how people can get a hold of you or any thoughts on that, why don't you share that, and then we'll put a wrap on this thing.
Yeah, people can hit me up. They can DM it. If you're part of the group, you can probably private message me on Facebook. you can email me at paul@mcmanuskb.com. And yeah, I'm happy to help if I can, but all you really got to do is start. I'm a big believer in you got to build this thing on your own. I've given mine away, but I promise you, if I give you mine in a week, you're going to break it and it's going to be useless to you because they're fairly complex. You got to build your own. Every company is a little different. They're not super hard to build. Just start with something very basic and go from there. But I'm happy to help. Just give me a shout and we talk through it some more.
Yep, your thumbs up and pointing. That means you're probably done saying whatever you're going to say. On this transparent, I would push people. If you look up Remodelers on the Rise and Michael Anchel, Anchel, we did a podcast a couple months back that is also tying in with some of this transparent pricing side of things. And it sounds like you gave your contact information out. So Paul, when you're saying 1 second, so I'm all set from this end. You're going to have the final word. And then when you go like this, I'm going to click stop broadcast.
All right. I just wanted to say on transparency that the good, better, best, it really only works with transparency. These prices that are on our good, better, best sheet, they are actual prices, right? If someone Googles Kohler, purist faucet, the price they find is going to be pretty darn close to the price we put on that sheet. So you kind of have to have that. And you got to capture your markups and everything else on other line items like Michael Ansel does extremely well. So I highly encourage you to sort of explore how he does that. So, cool. Thanks. It was fun being on. Appreciate it.
You gave a thumbs up. That must mean we're done. I got no clue. All right. I will be back tomorrow, technology permitting. Paul, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise. We'll do this again another time. And thanks for bearing with me and carrying the load, man. All right. See ya.
Thanks, man. See you there.